Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tubhyam cha Nārada bhṛśaṁ bhagavān vivṛddha bhāvena sādhu parituṣṭa uvāca yogam jñānam cha bhagavatam ātma-satattva-dīpaṁ jad vāsudeva-śaraṇā vidur añjasaiva. Tubhyam cha Nārada bhṛśaṁ bhagavān vivṛddha. Bhāvena sādhu parituṣṭa uvāca yogam. Jñānaṁ ca bhagavatam ātma-satattva-dīpaṁ. vāsudeva-śaraṇā vidur añjasaiva. tubhyam ca Nārada bhṛśaṁ bhagavān vivṛddha. bhāvena sādhu parituṣṭa uvāca yogam. jñānaṁ ca bhagavatam ātma-satattva-dīpaṁ. vāsudeva-śaraṇā vidur añjasaiva. tubhyam ca Nārada bhṛśaṁ bhagavān vivṛddha. bhāvena sādhu parituṣṭa uvāca yogam. jñānaṁ ca bhagavatam ātma-satattva-dīpaṁ. vāsudeva-śaraṇā vidur añjasaiva. Tubhyam, unto you, cha, also, Nārada, O Nārada, bhṛśaṁ, very nicely, Bhagavān, the Personality of Godhead, vivṛddha, developed, bhāvena, by transcendental love, sādhu, your goodness, parituṣṭaḥ, being satisfied, uvāca, described, yogam, service, jñānam, knowledge, cha, also, bhagavatam, the science of God and His devotional service, ātma, the self, sa-tattva, with all details, dīpaṁ, just like the light in the darkness, yat, that which, vāsudeva-śaraṇāḥ, those who are soul surrendered unto Lord Vāsudeva. Viduhu, know them, añjasa, perfectly well, eva, as it is. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. O Nārada, you are taught about the science of God and His transcendental loving service by the Personality of Godhead in His incarnation as Hamsavatar. He was very much pleased with you due to your intense proportion of devotional service. He also explained unto you lucidly the full science of devotional service, which is especially understandable by persons who are souls surrendered unto Lord Vāsudeva, the Personality of Godhead. O Nārada, you are taught about the science of God and His transcendental loving service by the Personality of Godhead in His incarnation as Hamsavatar. He was very much pleased with you due to your intense proportion of devotional service. He also explained unto you lucidly the full science of devotional service, which is especially understandable by persons who are souls surrendered unto Lord Vāsudeva, the Personality of Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The devotee and devotional service are two correlative terms. Unless one is inclined to be a devotee of the Lord, he cannot enter into the intricacies of devotional service. Lord Sri Krishna wanted to explain the Bhagavad Gita, which is the science of devotional service, unto Sri Arjuna, because Arjuna was not only his friend, but a great devotee as well. The whole process is that all living entities, being constitutionally parts and parcels of the Supreme Living Being, the Absolute Personality of Godhead, have proportionately minute independence of action also. So, the preliminary qualification for entering into the devotional service of the Lord is that one become a willing cooperator, and as such one should voluntarily cooperate with the persons who are already engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. By cooperating with such persons, the prospective candidate will gradually learn the techniques of devotional service, and with the progress of such learning, one becomes proportionately free from the contamination of material association. Such a purificatory process will establish the prospective candidate in firm faith and gradually elevate him to the stage of transcendental taste for such devotional service. Thus he acquires a genuine attachment for the devotional service of the Lord, and his conviction carries him on to the point of ecstasy just prior to the stage of transcendental love. Such knowledge of devotional service may be divided into two sections, namely preliminary knowledge of the nature of devotional service and the secondary knowledge of its execution. Bhagavatam is in relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavatam is in relation with the Personality of Godhead, His beauty, fame, opulence, dignity, attraction, and transcendental qualities which attract one towards Him for exchanges of love and affection. There is a natural affinity of the living entity. There is a natural affinity of the living entity for the loving service of the Lord. This affinity becomes artificially covered by the influence of material association, as Srimad Bhagavatam helps one very genuinely remove that artificial covering. Therefore, it is particularly mentioned herein that Srimad Bhagavatam acts like the lamp of transcendental knowledge. These two sections of transcendental knowledge in devotional service becomes revealed to a person who is a soul surrendered unto Vāsudeva, as it is said in Bhagavad Gita 7:19. Such a great soul, fully surrendered unto the lotus feet of Vāsudeva, is very, very rare. Om ajnanatimidandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha Shri Chaitanya manobhishtham sthapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamayam dadati swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanshcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhaivacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Tubhyaṁ ca Nārada bhṛśaṁ bhagavān vivṛddha bhāvena sādhu parituṣṭa uvāca yogam jñānaṁ ca bhagavatam ātma-satattva-dīpaṁ jad vāsudeva-śaraṇā vidur añjasaiva. O Nārada, you are taught about the science of God and His transcendental loving service by the Personality of Godhead in His incarnation of Hamsavatar. He was very much pleased with you due to your intense proportion of devotional service. He also explained unto you lucidly the full science of devotional service, which is especially understandable by persons who are souls surrendered unto the Lord Vāsudeva, the Personality of Godhead. So, different incarnations are being described here. So this is the description of Hamsavatar. This Hamsavatar, we can see in this incarnation, the Lord instructed Nārada Muni. That's what Brahma is telling. Actually, the real instructor of Nārada Muni was Brahma himself. That's why our parampara describes Brahma to Nārada Muni. But we have to understand that at some point in time, at some stage, Hamsavatar, the Lord appearing as Hamsavatar, instructed Nārada Muni. So, the 4 yugas have 4 different types of yuga dharmas. Krite jadhyate Vishnu, Tretayam jajate makho, Dvapare paricharjayam, Kalu tad harikirtanat. So, Krite jadhyate Vishnu, the process of devotional service, the process of execution of devotional service in the Sattva Yuga is meditation, Dhyate Vishnu, meditation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is established, that Yuga Dharma is established by Hamsavatar. The Lord appearing as Hamsavatar establishes the Yuga Dharma. And his complexion is Sveta. Setva rakta tatha pita idanim Krishna tangata. Gargamuni, while naming Krishna, told that to Nanda Maharaj. Gargamuni was sent by Vāsudeva, Krishna's father, because he is their family priest. And so Vāsudeva knew, Vāsudeva himself placed Krishna in the house of Nanda Maharaj. Although Nanda Maharaj didn't know that this boy is actually the son of Vāsudeva. He didn't tell, Vāsudeva didn't tell. But he felt the obligation towards his son, the responsibility towards his son. Now the ritual has to be performed, the son has to be given a name. So at the same time, he did not want to make anybody aware that there was a possibility that this boy is his son. So he very quietly sent Gargamuni, his family priest, to perform the name-giving ceremony. And at that time, because at that time Kamsa ordered that all the children born within 7 days should be killed. So there was a massive atrocity. So all the children were being killed. So he sent Putana also. Putana was going and killing all these newborn babies. But she met her destiny when she encountered Krishna. Instead of killing Krishna, she herself got killed. And anyway, the ceremony was conducted in a very, very quiet way. They could have suspected and why Gargamuni is conducting the name-giving ceremony of this boy. So it was performed in the Goshan, the name-giving ceremony of Krishna and Balaram were performed in the Goshan, away from everyone. And Gargamuni justified why he was naming this boy in a certain way. He named him Krishna. Why? Gargamuni said that this personality, this boy, appeared before also. So that is not a big thing, because in India, people know, people believe in incarnation, rebirth. So when he said that this boy, in his previous birth, he appeared in white complexion, red complexion, and he also comes in yellow complexion. But now he has appeared in his dark complexion. Therefore his name is Krishna. So this Sveta incarnation of the Lord is the Hamsavatar. And he establishes the Yuga Dharma, that is devotional service of the Lord through the process of meditation. And here Brahmaji is making a very important point, and that Prabhupada elaborated that quite extensively. The point Brahma is saying that he was very pleased with you due to your intense devotional service. And he also explained unto you lucidly the full science of devotional service. Appearing in that incarnation, the Lord established the signs of devotional service. And Prabhupada in the purport is explaining, taking the example of Arjuna, that devotional service can be achieved only through devotion. The understanding about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the process of devotional service, that is the science of the Lord, the science of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the means to approach Him, can be achieved only by individuals who are surrendered unto Him, surrendered unto the Supreme Lord. That means only a devotee can be qualified to be a devotee. Jai Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Lalita Vishakha Devi ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Gauranitai ki. Prabhupada took the example of Arjuna because Krishna makes this point very, very clear in Bhagavad Gita. When he was telling Arjuna that how this science had been lost and now he is re-establishing the science, he is revealing this rahaswam, the secret, because you are my devotee and you are my friend. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hi etad uttamam. This very, very lofty secret, very hidden secret is being revealed unto you because you are my devotee and you are my friend. As a devotee, you are surrendered unto me. Whatever I tell you, you accept it. And that is why I have accepted you as my friend. You are very dear to me. That's why you are very intimate. You have surrendered unto me. That's why I have accepted you as one who is very close to me. So the qualification, the principal qualification, the primary qualification to make advancement in spiritual life is surrender. To be a devotee means surrender. If the heart is not surrendered, if the soul is not surrendered, he cannot become a devotee. There are many learned scholars. There are many learned scholars who know Bhagavad Gita practically upside down. But we see that they are not devotees. Why? Because they intellectually understood or intellectually memorized, intellectually learned Bhagavad Gita. But they, because they haven't become the devotees, because they haven't surrendered unto Krishna, they haven't been able to understand the meaning of Bhagavad Gita. Many of us have this experience. We read Bhagavad Gita many times. Bhagavad Gitas with different commentaries, very scholarly, very learned. But what happened when we are reading those Bhagavad Gitas, we felt that yes, we are learning, we are understanding Bhagavad Gita so nicely. But until we came to Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, until we came across Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, we didn't actually understand anything of Bhagavad Gita. That you could understand only after coming across Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. We read Bhagavad Gita, we were thinking that, oh, I am understanding Bhagavad Gita so nicely. Sometimes we quoted also Bhagavad Gita. But as soon as we came across Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, then we understood that we didn't understand anything of Bhagavad Gita from that. Why? Because those understandings of Bhagavad Gita did not lead us to surrender unto Krishna. And because we did not surrender to Krishna, because we did not become devotees of Krishna, that's why we didn't understand the ṛhāsyaṁ. The mystery, the secret. It's a mystery, it's a secret. And the secret will be revealed only when we develop the right attitude. And that attitude is surrender, and that attitude will lead us to devotion to Krishna. It's something like you may have a chest full of wealth. You possess the chest, you have it. A big chest. And the chest is full of jewels. But unfortunately, the door of the chest is locked. And you don't have the key. So although you have the chest, but you can't have access to the wealth. Because you don't have the key. You can't open it. And this key is not a key. This key is something like you have to approach the chest with a perfect attitude, with the right attitude. Then only the door will open. So that is the ṛhāsyaṁ that Krishna is talking about. That ṛhāsyaṁ, the mystery. Do you all remember the story of Alibaba? Open system? So his brother, when he went there, he forgot and he started to say so many different things. But did the door open? Door of the cave didn't open. So that secret word was necessary. So similarly, the wealth of Bhagavad Gita we'll have access to the wealth of Bhagavad Gita only when we understand this mystery. And what is the mystery? The mystery is very simple. What is so unique about Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita? What's so unique about Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita? The Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita's uniqueness is, Prabhupada is pointing out that Krishna is God and Arjuna is his devotee. And if you want to understand Bhagavad Gita, surrender unto him, just as Arjuna surrendered unto him. Become a devotee. And that's what I noticed, the unique thing about Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita when I started to read it, that Prabhupada actually brought the last point of Bhagavad Gita right at the beginning. What is the last instruction of Bhagavad Gita? Last instruction of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam. And Prabhupada actually made that the first point. Sarva dharman parityajyam Krishna mekam sharanam braja. Why? Because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just surrender unto Krishna. And that is the secret of Bhagavad Gita as it is. Arjuna understood Bhagavad Gita, and Arjuna understood the instructions of Krishna as it has been given in Bhagavad Gita, because bhaktosi me sakhachi, bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only through bhakti, only through devotion one can abhijanati. Janati means to know, and abhijanati means very nicely understand. Abhijanati. Only bhaktya. Bhaktya is, in Sanskrit it's called Tritiya Vibhakti. What is Tritiya Vibhakti? Tritiya Vibhakti indicates by. Only by devotion or through devotion can one understand me as I am. Otherwise, we won't be able to recognize who is Krishna. Who is Krishna? How many people in India actually know who is Krishna? Although they're acquainted with Krishna from their childhood. Like we can consider ourselves. We knew Krishna, we read so many stories of Krishna, we grew up with Mahabharata and so forth. But did we know Krishna? I will say I didn't know Krishna until I came across Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is Krishna's identity. But I notice even in India, so few people know that Krishna is God. And they're so unfortunate, in spite of coming so close, they can't have access to this wealth because they don't have the key to open the treasure. And Srila Prabhupada is actually revealing that mystery. Prabhupada is giving us the key. Okay, now here's the key, open it. And enrich yourself with this wealth. And your life will be successful. So that is the mystery. So here also in the purport, Prabhupada is pointing out. Surrender, surrender, surrender. We have some independence. We have some independence. Prabhupada is pointing out because we are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who is Swarat? One of the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is that he is completely independent. Swarat, Abhigga Swarat. But because we are a minute part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we also have the qualitatively same faculty, but in a very minute way. Minute way. He is the Swarat, he is completely independent, and we have tiny little independence. And what is that independence? Ultimately, the independence is that we can decide for ourselves what we want to do. What we want to do, that freedom we have, and that is our independence. But ultimately, there is only two things, para-prakriti and apara-prakriti. There are only two directions, two options. We are tatastha, we are in the middle, and there is para-prakriti and apara-prakriti, spiritual world and material world, and we are in the marginal, we are in the margin, we are in the boundary. If we go that side, it will be spiritual world. If we go this side, it will be material nature. So we are marginal. So our only independence is whether we'll go towards the spiritual world or whether we'll go to the material world. And that independence or that consideration again is brought down to the concept whether we look towards Krishna or whether we look away from Krishna. Okay, let's go further. Let us go further. Whether we are going to act with Krishna in the center or whether we're going to act with ourselves in the center. Whether we are going to accept Krishna as the source of everything and center of everything, the supreme enjoyer, or whether we're going to accept this body as the supreme enjoyer. That's the only options that we have. Now, the choice is yours. The choice is yours. We have given the choice, and that's our independence. Are we going to lead our life with our body as the center for our sense gratification, or we are going to lead our life with Krishna in the center? Our actions should be motivated either or. That's the only option we have. That's the only independence we have. No other independence whatsoever. We may think that we are independent. We are acting in an independent way. We have all the facilities to become independent. But in the material nature, our condition is prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasa. Everything is happening by guna and karma. But ahankara vimuratma kartaham iti mannate. Being vimhura, being completely bewildered by false ego, ahankar, we are thinking we are the doer. That's the problem. That's our situation in the material nature. We don't have independence. But we illusion to think that we are independent. We are here also in the material nature also we are acting as a puppet in the hands of Prakriti, in the hands of material nature. And as puppets, we are being controlled by the guna and karma, the three modes of material nature and our karmic reactions. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasa. Everything in this material nature is happening due to the influence of guna and karma. And it is our ahankar, it's a false ego that's completely bewildering us to believe that we are the doers. And the result is suffering. You want to enjoy through your body, you want to enjoy through your senses. And what is the principle? The principle of material nature, to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. And what is that equal and opposite reaction? The equal and opposite reaction is, the more you try to enjoy, the more you will suffer. That is the law of material nature. The more you try to enjoy, the more you will suffer. And less you try to enjoy, the more you'll enjoy. More you try to enjoy, the less you try to enjoy, the less will be your suffering. And that's why people knew, in the Vedic culture people knew that. That's why they would voluntarily accept suffering. And that is called austerity, Tapasya. People, in order to enjoy, what they would do, they would accept voluntary suffering, or perform austerities. And their goal is, because they are also bewildered by ahankar, because they don't have the proper understanding through Krishna consciousness or devotion, because they didn't surrender to Krishna, they didn't have the clear understanding. That's why their understanding was that we'll perform austerities and penances, we'll voluntarily accept suffering, and as a result of that we'll be elevated to the heavenly planets. And in the heavenly planets there will be a lot of enjoyment. Yes, there is some enjoyment in the heavenly planet, but the problem is kshine punne martalokam vishanti. When the punya, the pious activities, the piety is exhausted, we have to come back to the material nature again, martalokam. The world of suffering, the world of death. The word martalokam means mrittu-lokam, the world of death. So we have to come here, and is there enjoyment in the world of death? No. Rather, the more you subject yourself to the world of death, the more you will suffer. And this consideration that kshine punne martalokam vishanti is something like you, throughout the year, you work so hard, save your money, you save a lot of money, and then comes the summer time, then you go for a vacation. You go to some beautiful place, you go to the islands of Bahamas, or you go to, for Indians, the big thing is to go to America or Europe. So you go to Europe or America. And when your money is exhausted, then what do you do? When your money is finished, then again come back to India and go through the rigorous life of earning money. So that is what is happening in a subtler sense by acquiring piety. But fine, it's nice to be in America. Then if you want to really go to America and want to enjoy there, then what do you have to do? You have to make a permanent situation. But can you make a permanent situation? You may get a green card. You may get a work permit. So you may make some money, but for how long? Many of the devotees have come from Europe, England, France, like Anandamay Prabhu is from France, Abhimanyu is from Italy, from Sweden. So Pedro, I'm sorry, Pradeep is from Spain. But if you ask them, what they will say, how is Spain? Beautiful sunshine, beautiful beach, but there is suffering. People in India used to think that going to England would be the perfection of life. Right? I mean, that's how I also grew up. When I was young, I used to think to go to England is the perfection of life. But when I went there, I got completely disgusted. The weather is so bad. Like, I said, I'm not going to stay here. Europe was even better than that. The weather is much better in Europe than in UK. It rains all the time. Of course, it's changing now. By Prabhupada's mercy, because devotees are chanting Hare Krishna, the weather in England is changing. It's becoming more and more pleasant. And you can, actually in England you don't see sunshine. There is a very witty statement by Srila Prabhupada. When Prabhupada was in UK, he also was disgusted with the weather there. You don't see the sun, it's all dreary all the time, raining all the time, most of the time. Then Prabhupada made a comment, there is a saying that the sun never sets in the British Empire. Because the British had their kingdom, the colony set everywhere, all over the world, in different parts of the world. So, so there is a saying, or there used to be a saying, that the sun never sets in the British Empire. Then Prabhupada commented, if the sun never sets in the British Empire, why doesn't it rise in London? So, anyway, the point is, wherever you go, you'll find there is suffering. The only place where there is no suffering is the spiritual sky. That's why it's called Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha. Bigata kuntha iti Vaikuntha. There is no anxiety, there is no suffering. But to qualify to go there, what is the qualification to go there? To enter into the region of eternal enjoyment, we have to give up our desire for enjoyment. We have to give up our desire for enjoyment through the body, through the senses. Then only we will become qualified to experience the spiritual joy, the spiritual enjoyment. And that process begins with surrender. Sharanagati, surrender. Begin with that, begin with surrender, and rest will automatically happen, gradually. Surrender literally means submitting ourselves to the will of Krishna. Marobi rakhobi joicha tuhara. Whether you want to kill me or whether you want to keep me, it's entirely up to your wish. Whatever you want, I'm prepared to accept that. So that is the meaning of surrender. Surrender means submitting ourselves to Krishna's will. And when we do that, then Krishna takes charge. When we submit ourselves to Krishna, then Krishna says, okay, fine, I'll take care of you. And then Krishna actually takes care of us. Then it is a matter of Krishna driving us, and we will see. Krishna is actually driving us, leading us through the course of our life. So this is the process. It's a very simple process, but again, the mystery is that we have to get rid of our false ego. In order to accept this process, we have to get rid of our false ego. Because the false ego is the last hitch. There are 8 elements in the material nature, 5 gross and 3 subtle. The 5 gross are earth, water, fire, air, ether. And 3 subtle are mind, intelligence and false ego. So out of these 3, which one is the subtlest? The false ego. And that is the last thing to get rid of. And that is the first covering that we got when we came to the material nature. Krishna bhuli shei jeev anadi bohir mukh. The moment a living entity turns away from Krishna and looks towards the material nature, the first covering he gets is the covering of false ego, ahankar. And what is this ahankar? I am the enjoyer. What is the covering of false ego? The bewilderment actually begins with that misconception that I am the enjoyer. And this entire creation is meant for my enjoyment. That's what false ego is. But in reality, I am not an enjoyer, nor this nature or this creation is meant for my enjoyment. Rather, my real identity is that I am the eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Enjoyer is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhoktaram jaggatapasam sarvaloko maheshwaram. That Bhoktaram, the Supreme Enjoyer, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Why? Because he is sarvaloko maheshwaram. He is the controller of the entire creation. Everything is meant for his enjoyment. So first thing is that we submit ourselves for his enjoyment, to provide for his enjoyment, and we use every facility for his enjoyment. And that is what devotional service is. And especially that is what Sankirtan means. Sarvam khalu idam brahman. Everything is spiritual. Everything is khalu. Everything is indeed spiritual. How? Because everything is meant for the enjoyment of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we cannot directly use things for his enjoyment, at least let us use everything for his glorification. And that is what Sankirtan is. We may not directly use everything in his service, but whenever something is needed, whatever is needed to spread his glory, let's use it. Because in this way only this Krishna consciousness movement will spread all over the world. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare. Does anybody have any question or comment? Yes.
Surrender is actually also indicated as the desire to serve, please and satisfy the Lord and the devotees. Is that right?
What does surrender mean? Surrender means surrender. Right? Submit yourself. Don't try to find any loophole not to surrender. Right? Surrender may mean this, surrender may mean that. No, surrender is a very simple expression. Just submit yourself to Krishna and his representatives.
Basically, the question is that the desire to surrender and to serve devotees and Krishna is there, but it is not a burning desire right now. It is there, but it is not so intense. Therefore, there is also attachment of sickness, gratification. So how to, this small spark of desire to serve Krishna, how to make the burning present?
Surrender. That's the beginning. That's where everything will begin. Yes, the surrender may not be complete, but at least make some surrender. At least make some formal surrender. Right? As actually, as you have done. You have submitted yourself. And it's not, the surrender is not complete. And the person who you surrender to, when he sees that you are not really surrendering, he smashes you. So accept his smashing. Right? Accept his chastisement. That's the position of a disciple. Shishya, the word shishya means one who is prepared to accept the shasana, accept the chastisement. The teacher, the guru is correcting you. And as a disciple you accept it. And then, although you may have started with this much surrender, it will keep on increasing. Follow the process, but surrender. That's the beginning. If you don't surrender, then there will be trouble. Then what will happen? The false ego will keep on increasing. Why should I surrender? I'm so big. I know better than anybody else. Everybody should actually surrender to me. Right? So this is how the false ego will keep on increasing. Yes, Sitaram.
Appearing in various shapes of the Lord. When he meets the four Kumaras, they actually also exhibit various forms of the Lord.
That was in Tapaloka, the four Kumaras, and he was seeing the forms of the Lord emanating from them, was in Tapaloka.
And when he describes this to the Mathura Brahmana, he says, by remembering these, one's japa becomes joyful.
Yeah.
So hoping that maybe you can elucidate this a little. How the japa becomes joyful through the memories of the various forms.
I don't remember that exact situation, but I can just speak from my understanding of japa, then japa becomes joyful. You see, the name of the Lord is not different from the Lord himself, right? So the more we make spiritual advancement, more this understanding will become clear, that the name is not different from the Lord. And the more we realize that, the more we'll get the association of the Lord through the chanting of the name. And that association of the Lord is the cause of ecstasy, cause of joy. Also, right, yes. Yes, same Hamsavatar.
And he's not appearing because they please him, he's appearing out of curiosity, but he appeared to Nārada because he pleased him with his devotion.
Devotion, right. That's why we see that the advancement, the degree of devotion, again, it comes back to the same point. The more we submit, the degree of our devotion will increase. Right? And according to the degree of our devotion, we will receive the realization. Like the same person, the same teacher may give the same instruction to different students, but the students, according to the depth of their devotion, will be able to receive that instruction. So, yeah, and Nārada Muni, like he is the most exemplary devotee of the Lord. He is the giver of the Lord. So we can see, the depth of his devotion.
Actually, the word they use is lucid, the Lord lucidly described. And when one reads the scriptures of the four Kumaras, the amazing thing is the lucidity with which the Lord clearly cuts through the living entity's illusion. Actually, the verses there are very, very sublime.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Any other question? Yes.
Maharaj spoke about the voluntary acceptance of suffering. I have two examples I want to mention. In the West, it is quite an epidemic of young girls inflicting pain upon themselves when they go through spells of depression. I have seen pictures and read about people in India voluntarily inflicting pain upon themselves, piercing themselves. That's the same kind of voluntary acceptance of suffering, or is deliberate? Are they doing it for want of a better birth in the next birth, or is it for some kind of liberation they're doing it?
Either way, the principle remains the same, isn't it? Voluntarily accepting suffering for a better future, for some future enjoyment, right? Whereas Krishna consciousness, in Krishna consciousness, there is no suffering, only enjoyment and enjoyment and enjoyment. That's the difference. We are not trading anything. It's like, the situation or condition is something like, you see, somebody is earning some money, saving it, right? Sometimes you see like he starves. He makes the whole family starve to save some money to go to Italy in summer, right? And he goes to, say, some holiday resort and spends a few days, makes some enjoyment, but then he comes back again, back to square one. Again, he'll have to try to work hard and save some money. So that is what the karmic situation is. Action, reaction, right? Whereas devotional service is something like becoming the son of a millionaire, right? You become not only the son of a millionaire or daughter of a millionaire, I mean, a zillionaire, I don't know what, a person with inconceivable wealth. Now when you become the son of a rich man like that, do you have to worry about money? Do you have to worry about saving? Do you have to worry about working? Just by being his son, you have inherited his wealth. So that's why for devotees there is no need for austerity. There is no need for penance. There is no need for, accepting any kind of suffering voluntarily. But to be a devotee means just surrendering to Krishna, right? The son of a rich man rejected the father and wanted to take care of himself. And he realizes that as a result of that, he is simply suffering and suffering and suffering. Then he comes back to the father and says, Father, I forgot. I realized my mistake and I'm not going to do it again. I am a soul surrendered unto you. Then what will the father do? Father, okay, stay at home and I'll take care of you. So that is our situation. Ultimately, we all are Krishna's children. But we are all rebellious children. We have rejected him. And look at our condition now. But when we surrender to Krishna, then what happens? We say, Krishna, I'm sorry, I made a mistake rejecting you. I'm accepting you now. Even though my surrender, submission is not complete because I developed so many bad habits. This tendency to remain, the tendency to become independent is so deeply ingrained in me that it's not going to go away overnight. But I'm surrendering unto you, so you please take care of me and help me get rid of those bad habits. So that is what we are doing. And if we remain on the path, practicing the process properly, then yes, Krishna will take care of us, and in course of time, we'll all become free from our bad habits.
And the suffering that comes
carry on with life. Like whatever comes, yeah. Like accept it as Krishna's mercy. Not only as Krishna's mercy. The devotee's attitude is, all the sufferings that are coming to me are due to my bad karma. Bad actions in the past, wrong actions in the past. I'm getting some karmic reactions. But because I have surrendered to Krishna, I'm just getting rid of this karmic reaction with a little touch, with little punishment, right? With little reaction. Basically, the major part of those reactions have been eradicated. But you know, some reactions are still there, and that's why it's coming in this. So it could have been, it should have been much worse. When I get a little cut in my finger, actually my whole hand should have been chopped off. The karmic reaction was as severe as, you know, my whole hand was meant to get chopped off. But you know, instead of that, I just got a little scratch in my finger. Right? So devotee accepts that all the sufferings are due to his bad karma, and all the enjoyment is Krishna's mercy. All the enjoyment that is coming in our lives is due to Krishna's mercy. Whereas how do the materialistic people look at it? All the good actions, all the enjoyment, he thinks that is due to him, and for all the suffering, he blames Krishna. That is how the spiritual life is diametrically opposed to the materialistic way of thinking. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Just in terms of the point Mataji is making, she's referring to the severe psychological condition of self-inflicted pain, which we find in many young Western girls who have become very disenchanted with their lives. And then in this false sense of Tapasya, think that by hurting themselves, they will obtain some kind of pleasure. It's a very, you know, and those preaching in the West have become aware of this condition because it's very prevalent, although hidden, just like child abuse. And one can detect in those a method of how to apply Krishna consciousness very expertly, especially to Asian women in the West. This is very, very severe.
Well, to begin with, I don't know the psychological conditions of young girls in the West. But if there is an opportunity to take advantage of that and preach to them, yes, do it. Yeah, sure. Yes, Radharani.
In the same light of Aarti's question, we fast on appearance days and disappearance days, and understand that it's meant for the pleasure of the Lord, but it's also a form of austerity, especially when we do a dry fast and so on. So what is the spiritual understanding of that? Why we do it?
Well, there are certain things that you do for your spiritual benefit. But at the beginning, you do not understand the spiritual outcome of it or the spiritual repercussion of it. That's why it may appear to be like a austerity. But this is not actually austerity. This is a means by which you are going to enjoy or you are going to experience the spiritual joy. Like, why do we fast on that day? Because that day is so special that normally we should forget about eating and sleeping. When you are very much absorbed in doing something, do you remember about eating and sleeping, or you forget about it? You forget. So that is the thing, like you forget about eating and sleeping. So that is the day we are meant to absorb ourselves in such a way that we should forget about eating and sleeping. But as long as we cannot forget about eating and sleeping, we try to, in spite of remembering the suffering of eating and sleeping, the suffering of fasting or not eating and sleeping, we still do it for our spiritual benefit. This is actually the devotional service in practice. We are practicing this devotional service. What actually it means, like for example, when you go to the spiritual sky, right, and you're taking part in Krishna's Janmashtami festival, Krishna's birth, Krishna is just born, how will you feel? will you be thinking, oh, when it will be 2 o'clock and I'll get some prasad? No. In the spiritual sky, they don't have any awareness on special days like that. That is that main point. Although there is some austerity, but in the Vaidhi Bhakti platform, we accept that austerity. But Prabhupada did not actually emphasize those hardships. Like generally on those days, what is the standard? The standard is not only to break fast at certain time, eat at certain time, like at afternoon or after midnight or after the evening. When you fast, the fasting actually means goes on till the next day, and then you break fast with some grains. So you have to begin the fast and you have to end the fast, and that goes on from certain time at the beginning of the day to the following day. But what did Prabhupada introduce? Prabhupada said, okay, fast until the time of the appearance of the Lord. When the Lord appeared at noon, fast till noon. When the Lord appeared at evening, in the evening, fast till evening. When the Lord appeared at midnight, fast till midnight. At least do that. And then after that, you can do anukalpa. Anukalpa means you can take something non-grain. You can take some non-grain food stuff. By taking non-grain, you are not fasting. You are not breaking the fast. Right? But actually, it goes on till the next day. For example, do you know why when there are 2 consecutive days of fasting, the fasting for the preceding day is observed on the preceding day? Why? Like say for example, Ekadasi is meant to be fasted, and then there is Vāmana Dwadasi. Also on that day one is meant to fast. But why it is said that the Vāmana Dwadasi fasting is on the Ekadasi day? Why? Because when you fast, you have to break the fast the next day. So when you break the fast the next day, then how can you fast that day? Right? So that's why it is said that the fasting should be observed on the previous day. And in this respect, it actually brings back to me like the consideration that Hare Krishna, kaise hain? Okay. So, like, you see, on Janmashtami day we fast. But then is Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja. Actually, the Vyasa Puja fasting should be observed on the Janmashtami day also. And on the day of Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja in the morning, we should break fast. But what is our custom? After midnight, eat so much that the next day you don't wake up till 10 o'clock. And then you think that, well, today's Prabhupada's appearance day, therefore we are going to fast till midnight, till midday. And then have the feast. But a better standard would be, if you have to break the fast, just eat something non-grain after midnight. And then the next day, break the fast and carry on with Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja. Okay, yeah, last question.
Guru, I just heard somewhere, I'm not sure of the source, but that by fasting till midday on Radhashtami day, one achieves the result of fasting for 60,000 Ekadashis or something like that. Can you explain?
So can you imagine if you get that kind of reaction just fasting till midday, what kind of reaction you'll get if you fast till the next morning. So as I said, generally the standard is to fast. When you're fasting till the next day. Otherwise, why on Janmashtami? If we are meant to break fast right after Krishna's birth, then why do we take only non-grain stuff? Why don't we indulge in grain stuff? Right? That means fasting is continuing. But as I said, like Prabhupada was not so particular about this austerities. Just chant Hare Krishna and spread Krishna consciousness.
Is it true that there's a Siddhāvana in this source?
I don't know. I don't know. But why not? Why 60,000 Ekadasis? I'll say 600 million Ekadasis. Because the benefit that you derive from observing Radhashtami, it is not on the material platform. It's on the spiritual platform. So can the spiritual benefit be measured by any amount of material calculation? It's in a different dimension altogether. So the point is, with no amount of material calculation that can be measured. Hari Gaur Premanande.